Opinions expressed on the internet would be censored.
We are live. We are live. This is real. Welcome back to Unauthorized Opinions, UOPod.com. Like, share, subscribe.
It's pure propaganda and it's super cringe, by the way.
I literally went to the polls with nothing in mind. I saw a can of orange soda in the parking lot. And I was like, yeah, there we go. An unopened can of orange soda just chilling in the parking lot. I was like, yeah, I got to vote for Trump, dude.
Your podcast sucks. It's mental, mate. It's absolutely mental.
I'll be honest, I thought it was kind of offensive when you talk so much about the Loch Ness Monster.
Political climate.
And Andrew, treat yourself, okay? Especially if you start, I don't know, getting in good with homeless people.
Unauthorized Opinions, streaming everywhere at uopod.com. Cock-a-doodly-doodly-doo, man. We have arrived. We've entered the BUILDIing or something like that. Unauthorized Opinions, uopod.com. Patreon show every week at patreon.com/uopod. We're live in full effect here. We've got a lot to get to. Don't forget to hit like and share. Leave us a comment, whether it's hate-filled, love-filled, or custard-filled. Whatever you want to do, we will enjoy the engagement here on X, here on Rumble, here on YouTube, and for those listening on Spotify, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and the like. Don't forget about Apple Podcasts. Andrew, say Apple. Super Chats, of course, will be read on the air. Lots of good stuff, lots of entertaining stuff to get to here. We've got Kamala Harris laughing at herself in Puerto Rico. She didn't even realize she was being made fun of. We've got a UFC fighter being bitten, which we'll get to in just a second. A woman clones her cat. Florida police encouraging you to unalive people and stuff like that. Wayne Brady. Can't wait to talk about Wayne Brady as well. So let's get into it. The first story is, I don't know if anybody watched UFC last night, if it's just me, but a UFC fighter bit another fighter. You can see this happening here. You will see the mark, and I'm going to play it for you. This guy, the biter here, this guy, whose name is, if we're not forgetting, Igor Severino. He was undefeated. He was undefeated going into this fight, and he decided to bite a guy, not quite Mike Tyson style in the ear, not quite, soccer player Luis Suarez style on the neck and shoulder blades, but this guy biting on the inside of the arm. So like the bicep area. Let's take a look.
Fight is over.
Wow, straight fight over.
Okay.
Wow.
I didn't think they had to do that.
Disqualification.
It's a DQ.
He's going with a DQ
Okay.
for
Disqualification
a bite instead of a warning.
So, as you can hear, the announcers are confused as to why he would disqualify him right away for a bite. I'm not sure why you'd be disqualified for a bite, but you'll see why.
Well, it goes beyond.
Yes, you did.
No, I know bite. No, I didn't. We'll see.
Intentional
Yes,
to.
he did. Okay. He bit him.
But here's what I was saying, Paul. And not to get in the weeds, but how do you know he actually bit down?
That's the thing. I'd like to see a stern.
How do you know he actually bit down? That's a good question. We're going to see it.
Teams will sometimes make contact.
I know, but they only make contact when you put a rear naked choke in someone's mouth and it gets on.
Yeah, you're right. He did bury his face.
I've never been behind somebody trying to go for a single leg and accidentally just scraped him with my teeth.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember back.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, okay, yeah,
my
come
God.
on.
See that.
Okay.
Never mind.
See that. Okay.
And then everybody all of a sudden changes their mind about this bite. I've never seen this in MMA. We've seen eye pokes. We've seen people faking getting poked in the eye, faking getting hit in the groin. We've seen people being kicked in the groin so hard that they threw up several times. There's a famous fight where a guy gets bagged, I think, 3 times, 2 or 3 times, kick in the junk. He's on the ground. He throws up. And they have this huge delay. I don't know how long of a delay it was. These days it would be 5 minutes they would have to collect themselves. And he gets back into a fight, and then he gets knocked out. I'll see if I can find that for you afterwards. But what ended up happening is, as I thought what happened last night is they fired this guy immediately, of course. And Igor Severino, the guy he bit, was Andre Lima, excuse me. And Andre Lima was showing off this bite mark, and the UFC has actually been promoting this. Like, they've been putting out bite of the night photos. They put out the imagery right away. It's like they're making fun of this guy who bit the other fighter, and Dana White decided that he's going to give him an I effing got bit bonus, and it's going to be $25,000, which is, usually fight of the nights or knockout bonuses, submission bonuses are $50,000, but Dana White says he's going to give him $25,000. That was until, there you can see I was going to give him $25K, but that was until the guy got it tattooed around the bite mark. There he is, going to get it already. I don't speak Spanish. There's no translation here, but Dana White saw this, and here's a nasty close-up of the bite. Like, he's wearing a mouth guard, and that was from behind. So he got locked jaw. I don't know if he made his mouth guard loose on him or what is going on there, but that's disgusting. And Dana White decided he's going to give him $50,000 for it. Dana White joked that he's going to give Lima the first ever I got effing bit bonus. And after seeing the tattoo, he said that he's upping the bonus from $25K to $50K. As ridiculous as the tattoo is, the fact that he's getting paid an extra $25,000 for it now completely justifies it. I would get a dumbass tattoo for $25K tomorrow, says Barstool's Robbie Fox, I think is who wrote it. Yeah, it is. Longtime MMA reporter Robbie Fox says that he would get, I'm sure somebody could make that happen. But that's the craziest thing. And I want to see if I can find somebody maybe translates this. I wonder if I can find the ultimate bagging. Because this guy named Chris Tuchscherer was, disturbingly kicked in the groin. Let's see if this video will do it here. I think this is a podcast talking about it. No, I don't know. See, the problem with a lot of this stuff, the old UFC stuff that they don't want you to see, it's very easy for them to get taken down. One, because it's old and it's hard to find anyways. But then they can copyright it and get it taken off of anywhere, essentially. UFC 109. Yeah, that's going to be hard to find, I think. We might have to let it go and save it for another time. Maybe not. Let's see. I can show you this. This is the guy getting kicked in the nuts. Are we going to get it on MMA Junkie? No, we're not going to. So we'll move on to the next foray of the afternoon. UFC was overall disappointing last night, but onward and upward, you get a bite, and maybe things will turn things around for later events. Wayne Brady, you may or may not have known. I don't want to play this video. There it is. In August 2023, he came out as pansexual, you guys. It's Wayne Brady, pansexual extraordinaire. You know him from Whose Line Is It Anyway? That stupid game show where everybody dresses up. And, of course, The Chappelle Show. And Wayne Brady in 2023 said, let's make a deal, it's called. He said, I love people equally, and now that includes myself. And his ex-wife is showing him acceptance. Deep into a Malibu canyon, up switchblock roads and overlooking a creek, is Wayne Brady's house. I like how, this is not really of its time, 2023. You'd think this would be more 2019. We're just completely romanticizing a guy just saying what he likes to have sex with, but I digress. With a view of the Pacific, a creek and not much else, save for tall gates, it's a fortress of solitude. It's a great place to think, says 51-year-old Wayne Brady. And he's been doing plenty of that. Known as much for his deft comic timing as his fully loaded smile is ready to tell the world he identifies as pansexual. I am pansexual, he says, meaning that he is attracted to persons regardless of sex or gender. It means he'll have sex with anything. Brady puts it another way, bisexual with an open mind, he says with a chuckle. Now, there is no real difference. His ex-wife, Mandy Takita, was the first person he came out to. He said, I just said, great, as I knew coming out would help him be happier. That's great. I'm not married to you anymore. I'm glad you didn't say this when I was married to you. I don't know if that's his son or if that's Chris Tucker or who that is. I'm pansexual. In doing my research, both with myself and just with the world, I couldn't say if I was bisexual because I had to really see what that was. Especially because I really have not gotten a chance to act on anything. So, I came to pansexual because, and I know that I'm completely messing up the dictionary meaning. Oh, is it in the dictionary, Wayne? But to me, pan means being able to be attracted to anyone who identifies as gay, straight, bi, transsexual, or non-binary. Being able to be attracted across the board. And I think, at least for me, right now, that is the proper place. I took pan to mean that not only can I be attracted to any of these people or types physically, but I could also be attracted to the person that is there. Now, oh God, he keeps going. Like with any blessing, I'm like, how cool. It's cool that people like me, especially doing a show like Let's Make a Deal, or when various companies or networks thinks, I want Wayne Brady to host this. What a blessing. What a blessing to be in people's homes every day and connect with them. I love that piece of it. But there are days that I'm not a fan of it because really I'm an actor. I don't want to lead personality first. I don't know what that second paragraph means. But the first paragraph where he's talking about, I'm not just bisexual, I'm attracted to all these different things. I'm attracted to gay people. You know, so that would mean you like guys who like guys. You're attracted to straight people. Well, that would make the guy gay if he was attracted to you back. You're attracted to bi people. Attracted to transsexual people, those are also just male or female, or non-binary, also usually typically females who, you know, are tomboyish and they need an identity. But what this has given Wayne Brady the opportunity to do is find a new way to be publicized, right? Find a new way to pick his favorite color, to pick his favorite football team, to pick whatever. Because what you're saying is that you're bisexual, and all these other things are just other things that were made up, and I now have a made-up term that says I'm attracted to the made-up things. Because what you're saying is you're attracted to transsexuals and non-binaries. Well, those are also men and women in reality, right? So we have a guy who's saying he's bisexual here, but he's found a new term that was made up only for the purpose of saying that you're attracted to the other made-up genders. Really, he's just attracted to men and women, according to Wayne Brady, who was married for how many years? He's 51 years old. Now he's decided. Don't you always love how it's like all of a sudden, and then they tell you it's not all of a sudden, but there was no inkling of this before, and you never heard these terms before, and they all came up in the last few years, but, you know, it was always that way. It's like when they go back and rewrite one of these old movies or these old comic books, and they say, like the Matrix guys who are now the Matrix girls, they say, oh, it was always like this. These concepts didn't exist at the time, but it was always like this. Wayne Brady was never bisexual. He was actually pansexual. He was always attracted to non-binaries, which is a thing that didn't exist fucking yesterday, right? So here's Wayne Brady now. I'm not sure how old this is, but this is after the fact. Here's Wayne Brady now talking about what he's doing is the ultimate virtue signal. Here's Wayne Brady saying that him being attracted to anything that's willing to sleep with him makes him a better person than you.
What do you feel like has been the biggest misconception about what it means to identify as pansexual? And a lot of people, that's a foreign term to them, even amongst, you know, queer people. Yeah. So for you, what has been like the biggest misconception as you've encountered people since you've come out?
I had to do research and find out what it was that I was. Yeah, I think the biggest misconception, and I even make a joke about it on stage tonight, is that people think that you're an indecisive bisexual. It's like, no. Let me set you straight. what the definition basically boils down to is regardless of gender. Regardless. So that means that I am happily free to fall in love with anybody here. If you're gay, if you're straight, if you're non-binary, trans, I don't care. It's the person, which in my mind is the ultimate in acceptance and loving.
I want to get to that part, but this beginning part too is it's stuff he's making up.
Biggest misconception about what it means to identify as pansexual, and a lot of people, that's a foreign term to them, even amongst queer people. So for you, what has been like the biggest misconception as you've encountered people since you've come out?
I had to do research and find out what
he had to do research to find out what types of humans he's attracted to. There's men, there's women, and if we're all being honest with ourselves, there's also men pretending to be women and other stuff, but they're still trying to be the other sex, right? That's why none of this really makes sense. I don't identify with any of the sexes, so I'm non-binary, but the word binary means 1 or 2 or 0 or 1 or male or female, but you're non-binary, so you're neither one of those two things, but there's multiple genders somehow. And he had to research what exactly being attracted to transgendered people and non-binary people is. He had to research his own sexuality, which is a very strange thing to think about. If you woke up one day and you're just like, I think I'm attracted to the same sex, then you might think you're gay, right? But then you woke up another day and you're like, I think I'm attracted to both sexes, so then you're bisexual. Everything else is just stuff that they've added on along the end. So there's not actually any research required. All you're doing is saying you're giving into this made-up realm that there's all these other 15, 16 genders or identities, such as pansexual, transgender, non-binary, and then therefore there had to be a definition made to include those things. He is correct when he says other people think you're confused bisexual. That is what it is. I mean, and that's not being mean. That is you saying that you're bisexual and then agreeing to this weird religious thing where you believe that all these other definitions are real, and a transgender person, if a transgender woman is, and it's a guy who says he's a woman, if he's actually then just a woman, then aren't you just saying you're attracted to women? If you are of this mindset where you believe men are now women when they transition, well, then you're saying they're just women. So how can you be attracted to a transgender person if they are in fact just women? You see what I'm saying? None of their logic makes sense. And Wayne Brady, what he's doing here is he's found a thing where he could say, I want to have sex with anyone, and you're not allowed to judge me for it. But at the same time, he's saying, I believe in all these different things. And there's so much religious gender doctrine out there that I had to research what exactly it is that I was attracted to, because I came up with this identity, and I'm not actually sure what this made up identity means. So then I had to look up the lore. It's like, those people who are really into the backstories for all the Star Wars characters and the Lord of the Rings characters. He had to go back further into the lore to figure out exactly what his own beliefs and attractiveness was. It doesn't make any sense. And then let's listen to what he says here again one more time.
If you're gay, if you're straight, if you're non-binary, trans, I don't care. It's the person, which in my mind is the ultimate in acceptance and loving.
So not only is he saying that he is attracted to anything, he's saying that's the ultimate in acceptance and loving. So he's more accepting than everybody else, and he's more loving than everybody else. It's completely off the wall. It's completely insane. Wayne Brady, allegedly, hearsay, Your Honor, seems to have something wrong with him, right? If you are sitting there thinking that, having a sexual preference restricted to one gender, or even just two in his mind, is intolerant. He is taking this whole religion of gender to its endpoint, where it's basically saying that it's mean to not have sex with people that, are transgender or whatever. And we've seen this before. We've seen this before on the internet when transgender people say it's bigoted that men won't date other men who have chopped their genitals off. It's bigoted of you to not be attracted to that. That's where Wayne Brady has taken this. He very much so doesn't want to be a bigot. Therefore, he is willing to say that in order to not be a bigot, in order to be the most accepting and loving, as he says, then I cannot judge people based on any of their biological characteristics. I just have to be okay with anything another person says, no matter what type of genitalia or anything they have, and therefore I will have sex with them. It's really the ramblings of a broken man. Something happened to him. You would think that this would be Will Smith talking, right? Will Smith a little bit more put together. His mind's just broken in a different sense. His wife sleeping with his son's friend. But something must have happened to Wayne Brady where he thinks that the path to enlightenment is not offending people, and he's willing to go as far as being pansexual to prove that he's a good person, because that's what that is. When you say that you're doing the most tolerant thing and you're being the most loving person, and to prove that, you're saying, I will have sex with anyone here. I'll have sex with anyone here to prove that I'm the kindest person. Any volunteers? Does anyone want to have sex with me to prove how good of a person they are? That's an interesting line. You might be able to pull that off in 2024. Young men, if you're going to a bar, you might want to just declare that anyone here can have sex with me, and this is how we prove that we're good people. And if you don't want to do that, then you might not be a good person. You are pretty intolerant, I would say. I think that's the Wayne Brady dating book he needs to write. Wayne Brady, aren't you tolerant? Or are you a bigot? ? And then you turn the book over. It's a hardcover. It's got a foreword by Amy Schumer and maybe Roseanne or something like that. And it says, are you a bigot? Well, prove that you're not. Have sex with Wayne Brady. Wayne Brady took this on the road and visited 1,600 bars in America and discussed with locals why they should have sex with him, and how that if they don't, he's going to call them a bigot and a racist. Wayne Brady, he could have the sequel to that book, The Game, or I don't know, he should go on speaking tours for that. Kamala Harris is in the news. Should we get to Kamala Harris first, you guys? I think we should get to Kamala Harris. We'll get to a commercial break later. Don't you love that when they say that on radio, where they'll say something like, we're pushing the brake forward another half an hour, and then really obviously the person gets to control whenever the brakes are. I mean, it's not that complex of a concept. But Kamala Harris was in Puerto Rico, and of course Puerto Rico's generally a worse place to live than the continental United States. I don't know if they get to vote. They have a governor, but I don't think they could get to vote in federal elections. Could be wrong. Somebody will mention in the comments how stupid I am for that. But she was in Puerto Rico, and there was a protest in front of her, I believe. What do I know? I don't speak Spanish, but this is the story here. Kamala Harris stops clapping during Puerto Rico protest song once aide translates lyrics. The other guy's not stopping. How long is this going to go on for? Now she tells the other guy, right? No, he's going to keep clapping. Vice President Kamala Harris was captured on camera clapping to a Puerto Rican protest song during her visit to San Juan on Friday, stopping short once an aide translated what singers added to the lyrics. After making remarks in Puerto Rico's capital, Harris visited the Goyoco Community Center in Santorice, neighborhood of San Juan, where she took a tour and heard from center staff and community leaders. The motorcade was greeted by a mix of several dozen loud demonstrators and onlookers on the sidewalk. One held a sign that said Kamala Harris war criminal. Another called the USA and Israel genocidal. So these are left-wing protesters that are even further left-wing than the Democratic Party, right? The vice president stopped in a courtyard within the community center where a 6-person music group played. Pool cameras captured Harris clapping her hands and nodding along as she watched and listened. A singer then performed accompanied by a piano. According to RNC research, Harris was clapping until an aide next to her translated what the band was saying. Get to the translation! The woman standing next to Harris is Mariana Reyes, executive director of La Goico, while the man is Frankie Miranda, Hispanic Federation president. So this guy probably knows what the lyrics are saying, but he was still clapping. We want to know, Kamala, what did you come here for? Long live free Palestine and Haiti too, the band said, according to the account managed by the Republican National Committee. Harrison stopped clapping and instead folded her hands and slightly nodded as the song continued. So they're sitting there singing, Kamala Harris, you're a war criminal, free Palestine, you piece of shit. And she's just happy as a clam standing there. Let's watch it again. Kamala Harris, we hate you. Free Palestine. Long live Palestine. Kamala, you sick war criminal. Oh, okay, I see. This could have been, Kamala Harris is the type of woman who she's going to go to Ukraine and she's going to see a lot of swastikas around or she's going to see the black sun on somebody's shoulder pad. And she's going to be like, what wonderful artistry that is on your shoulder. The sun, you guys must be in line with farmers. Or maybe it's a Japanese symbol, the land of the rising sun. And then somebody will say, actually, it's a white supremacist symbol. And then she's going to be like, and then stop and continue to laugh awkwardly, frankly, because that's what she does. Kamala Harris, there's not a real, genuine, honest bone in her body. Whatever she's doing, she's there to pretend. You remember that video of her where she's talking to children? She's telling them a story, I think. Maybe about how she wanted to be an astronaut. I don't know. And they're all laughing and getting along with Kamala. And it turns out they were child actors. That's the only way they can get people to sit there and listen to Kamala Harris. Children who are forced by their parents to go and listen to the vice president that nobody likes. She had the worst. She was the first one out of the presidential race for the Democrats in 2016, and she becomes vice president. No one likes her. The only people that can listen to her are children who are paid to be here. And these aren't just any child actors. These are obviously unsuccessful child actors. Their parents are like, their parents are already forcing them to be child actors. They don't want to be there. And then a mother goes, listen, Billy, you're going to take this goddamn contract with the White House and you're going to laugh at Kamala Harris. You're going to laugh at the vice president. You blew that Cheerios commercial. Sally over here couldn't swallow the fruit by the foot. She kept choking on it. You're going to sit here and listen to the vice president. God damn it. Let's find that. Kamala Harris child actors. There's nothing genuine about Kamala Harris. That's why there's so many impressions of her just laughing like a maniac. Because nobody has to even really do anything in order to do a good impression of her. Because it's too easy. She's acting already.
Surprising thing you found about being vice president?
There have been a lot of things because I've never been vice president before. So there are
yeah, Aunt Kamala, tell us more.
Are many new things, but I'll tell you one of the things that I'm really excited about, and one of the reasons for our visit and the time we're going to spend time together today is the space.
The time we're on our visit, the time we're going to spend time together today. Let's hear that one again first.
Our visit and the time we're going to spend time together today is the space.
And the time we're going to spend time together today. She's, NASA picked the right person for this, I think.
Council. My mom was a scientist, so she would take us to the lab with her, like on the weekends and after school, because she had to work long hours. And I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out or discovered yet. To think about so much that's out there that we still have to learn. Like, I love that. I love that. And so I'm very excited about the Space Council. We're going to learn so much as we increasingly, I think, are curious and interested in the potential for the discoveries and the work we can do in space. So that's one of the things I'm most excited about. But the other, you guys are going to see. You're going to literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes.
Oh my goodness.
With your own eyes, I'm telling you, it is.
She sounds like a psychopath. And when she's talking to these kids that are obviously like 12 to 16 years old, she's talking to them like they're 5.
Like, I love that. I love that. And so I'm very excited about the space, the unknown hours. And I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out.
Kamala Harris is like a 50s actor where as soon as the cameras go off, she needs a smoke and she's like, "Get these ugly kids out of here." That's how Kamala Harris sounds when the cameras go off. "Get these friggin' kids out of here. Get this Asian kid." She's just really racist for no reason, even though she's half Jamaican and half Indian or something like that, right? "Get these Asian kids out of here. What are they doing in our country?" She lights up a big stogie. And these kids are like 16-year-old actors, and we're acting like Kamala Harris is talking to 5-year-olds. A video meant to sell children on the wonders of space exploration featuring Kamala Harris giving a memorably loopy performance alongside a quintet of child actors who auditioned for the roles. So they had the, you better pass this audition. If Kamala Harris shows you up, that's going to be a beating. All 5 of them are actors. Carlo Bernardino, whose 13-year-old son Trevor was one of the youngsters taking part. So this guy just completely narcs it out. Wouldn't you want your kid to be seen as like the most natural? Well, maybe that's what it is. He wanted people to know that his kid was an actor because it was like, look how good he did. He sat there and listened to Kamala Harris without, unaliving himself, let's say. He's a child actor. He's been doing this type of thing for a while. And so he has a manager and an agent in LA, and they send him castings. He's been doing this type of thing for a while. He's been sitting and pretending to listen to politicians on his own accord for a while. Interesting. Trevor told a radio station that he was asked to submit a monologue about a topic he is passionate about. Was the monologue about listening to phony politicians, I wonder? Along with 3 questions he wanted to ask World Leader, the next step was a virtual interview with the producer of the video. I wonder what the questions were. Were they like, how comfortable are you with islands? Have you ever been to Haiti? Do you know who Kamala Harris is? Are you willing to have an 80-year-old man who may or may not be the president smell your hair? There's lots of questions that you might want to approach with children before you take them to the White House if you're a PR representative. The first in a YouTube original series called Get Curious with Vice President Harris, which is produced by Canada-based Sinking Ship Entertainment. Nothing says the government more like taking the most unpopular politician in the country, sitting in front of child actors, pretending it's real, and having the segment produced by a foreign company for NASA. That's the most American thing I think I've ever heard. I have not heard anything better than that in recent history. The video featuring Harris, Trevor, and co-stars Derek Brooks and all these children's names you want to name for some reason was shot on August 11th through 13th at the Naval Observatory in Washington, where her house is located. I'm not even going to go get up away from my house. I'm on vacation here, so you better bring these ugly kids to me. That's what Kamala Harris is saying. When was this from? 2021. She's really been on a roll for a long time, Kamala Harris. She's really been, scraping the bottom of the barrel for a long time. It's impressive. Let's go ahead and take a commercial break here. It's not a real break. It's unauthorized opinions on patreon.com/UOPod. You can help us become Joe Rogan for $7 a month. You can even, and I say even, give us $15 a month. And I'm pretty sure these are Canadian prices, which are rock bottom prices. For $15 a month, you could be just like the Raptors fanatic. This is a Raptors super fan, an NBA basketball super fan, who can somehow afford to go to every Toronto Raptors home game and do so in the front row. I don't know how he affords it. You tell me. Or you can be an unauthorized person for this amount of money, depending on your region. $40 here. And you will get all the previous values of the other tiers, and also you'll be able to suggest topics that we talk about on this show. And I'll even bring in a guest on for that. We've done that before we've talked about our good friend Richie the Barber. You'll get all the bonus podcasts, which is generally on Friday or Saturday. You can see me in a sweater. I don't wear sweaters just for anyone, as you can see. And you get the bonus podcast every week. And if we scroll down even further, you get bonus content like videos with my friend Uncle Hack from the Danger Cats, the most banned comedic trio in Canada. You won't get it anywhere else. The Danger Cats were canceled because they made a joke about, what was it? About the grave sites in Canada near residential schools. And the catch there is that there was never any grave sites. So what are you even mad about? Doesn't matter. They got like 5 or 6 shows canceled, and you can watch my interview with him. There's more content. All these Patreon locked podcasts. There's stuff with Anomaly as well. The last podcast here is Streeters we're going to be going out in 2 weeks time to do more street content, and then I think a month after that we've got a tech conference to go to. But anyways, in the interim, this podcast, we released it for free on Patreon, and then immediately what happened was YouTube was like, you can't show a Saturday Night Live sketch from 1982. So, this is what happens when we make things free. So patreon.com/UOPod, and we will appreciate it, and we will give you the best content that we can every single week. Let's move on now. We're going to the beautiful province of British Columbia, Canada. Think of it as your Washington. Think of it as your Portland, Oregon, your Seattle, Washington, your Los Angeles. Think of that whole province as a super liberal bastion of hell. But what's better? They'll let you clone your cat there. Apparently, a woman was paid $50,000 to clone her cat.
2 years ago, she immediately knew she wasn't ready to say goodbye. So she embarked on a long and very expensive journey to clone that cat. And now she has 2 kittens genetically identical to the pet she lost. CTV Shannon Patterson has the story.
Chris Stewart has...
I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction about this video before we watch the whole thing, is that this woman's insane. Obviously, you got to be a bit insane. We all love our pets and animals, but it is a cat, and we know it's not the same cat. It's not like you had amnesia and your family members wanted you to not notice the difference, so they went and got the cat cloned without your knowledge. You know it's different cats, so it's really weird. If your kid dies, are you going to clone your kid? I mean, maybe she will.
Her hands full with 2 very rambunctious 10-week-old kittens.
They're very aggressive, sassy, bold kittens, and that's exactly what Bear was like.
Bear was Stewart's beloved ragdoll cat. He was hit by a car and killed 2 years ago.
I knew that I wanted to clone him because I tried cloning one of my dogs about 3 or 4 years prior to that, and so I still had the instructions for how to send the cell samples down to Viagen in Texas.
Viagen is a U.S. company that clones cats and dogs.
We'll take one of Buddy's cells and replace the nucleus of a female dog's egg. After treatment by our patented process, the egg and cell join together and the embryo starts to grow.
So you take a cell from a dead animal and you implant it into an embryo of another animal, and it's impregnated, and you have a cell that's supposed to... So this, I mean, it's always a good sign when the commercial for a highly scientific process is done without a microphone and it's drawn. That's always what you want for a serious scientific operation here. But I'm going to go ahead and say, we got a minute here. Let's go ahead and... let's give them the benefit, the B of the D, the benefit of the doubt.
The embryos are then transferred to a surrogate mother.
Who, after a typical gestation, will give birth to Buddy 2.
I went through 4 unsuccessful embryo transfers before the 5th one was
What an idiot.
Last week, Stewart flew to New York, where Viagen presented her with 2 identical kittens created at its breeding facility, who are both genetic clones of Bear.
And personality-wise, I'd have to say they are both at this point identical to Bear. They make some very brazen decisions. They have a bit of a swagger, just like Bear did.
While the decision to clone Bear was primarily an emotional one,
I'm a bit of a science geek, and so this interests me from a science perspective too.
Oh, yeah.
The fact that this can actually be done.
the Kelowna business owner is telling her story, so other pet owners know this option exists. But it's not cheap. The cost to create the kittens, she's named Bear Bear and Honey Bear, around $50,000 Canadian.
Was it worth it? Absolutely worth it. Absolutely. I'm so relieved the waiting is over with. I'm so relieved to have two little gaffers that look just like Bear.
You're letting your cats chew on a plug.
So I'm pretty happy with the end result.
This is pretty psychotic. So here's what this company sounds like they're doing. They're saying, hey lady, send us a cell of your dead cat. We'll clone the cat by impregnating another cat of the same breed with a cell that's like, you know, a part of your cat. So it's totally gonna be your cat. These cats, these rag dolls, in fact my friend has one, they're like $1,000. They're expensive cats, and they're all the same. They're, you know, of course, like any animal, there's gonna be slight variances, but they're lazy cats. They lay around a lot. They don't like too much human interaction. Now this woman's got kittens, so it's gonna be different, but they grow up to be very lethargic, and they're big piles of fur that lay around there, and that's the kind of cat you want to go for it. So it's not going to be a mystery that these cats who are of the same breed are the same type of animal. Like, that's not strange at all. You get one, you know, corgi, and you replace it with a different corgi, it's going to be similar to the first corgi. Am I crazy for saying that? And then they say, actually, lady, the first 4 times we did this, it didn't actually work. The cats that we bred the first 4 times, they weren't, I don't know. What are we saying here? That it didn't take? So you're buying a pregnant kitten, and they're claiming that it's got the cells of your cat because they put in one single cell. And now you think it's the same cat? Or it's like its own kitten? It's not really cloning. You're doing IVF for for cats. This is like saying that if you got, you know, an artificial insemination for an adult woman, an IVF treatment, that's not cloning people. I'm not cloning myself and my wife by getting an IVF treatment and impregnating her with that. That's not what cloning is. Cloning would be you're taking the cells and you're creating a creature out of that. This is just impregnating an animal with an embryo which you've added a cell to. It's very crazy lady behavior. She's interested from a science perspective. We all believe you. And I'm interested in the lottery from a statistics perspective. I buy 600 lottery tickets a month. And that's not because I'm addicted to lotteries. I'm not a crazy person. I don't just stand by the thing and crack them open for nothing. I'm into the statistical anomalies portion of it. Very interesting. Let's move on to a Florida. You know, it's a Florida police chief talking about how you should be able to shoot people. And we all agree with that, right? People breaking into your house, they have a gun. And then, you know, they're mean. Because that's what the world revolves around these days. People being mean. We can't have that. They break into your house. Can you defend yourself with a gun? Yada, yada, yada. People are taking specific notice of this these days because of the huge squatter problem that's been showing up. And of course, it's because people can't afford these homes. But when people do buy a home now, they find a bunch of homeless people living there. And for some reason, the law is like, you can't get them out. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's I think it's in New York where the laws skirt around this because a person is allowed to claim that they live in a place and you can't kick them out. And if you cut off their utilities, then you're being cruel. You're breaking the Tenant Act. So what they end up doing is they create a fake Tenant Act, and they're just like, see, I have a tenant agreement. This person's lying. So then you have to take them to court, and that could take however long. So even if the person is proven to be correct in the end, the homeowner that is, then you're going to have to wait months and months and months to get these people out for months, who have been, sleeping in your home, and if you cut off their electricity or their water, then you're being cruel, apparently. So people have even started hiring vigilante groups to get them out. There was one couple that was arrested for trying to get people out. I don't know the full story there, but Florida is passing laws, and you got to give credit to DeSantis for this, because he's one of the quickest acting governors for a lot of topics, whether it's men and women's sports, punching Disney metaphorically in the face for, stepping out of line. But Florida is creating a law that says there's no such thing. You can't squat on people's homes, the sensible approach. And there is a cop who's saying, if somebody breaks into your home, you're more than welcome to shoot them. Here it is.
As to the person, we don't know which homeowner shot at him. I guess they think that they did something wrong, which they did not. If somebody's breaking in your house, you're more than welcome to shoot them in Santa Rosa County. We prefer that you do, actually. So whoever that was, you're not in trouble. Come see us. We have a gun safety class we put on every other Saturday. And if you take that, you'll shoot a lot better, and hopefully you'll save the taxpayers money.
It sounds to me like he's saying that instead of putting people in jail, why don't you just go ahead and shoot the intruders, and then we don't have to take them to jail and cost you money, or maybe go and fine them for that. But that's hilarious. And all joking aside, it's pretty much how it should be, right? I'm not saying let's just start shooting people. I'm saying that if somebody's going to come into your house and try to steal your stuff and they got a gun, why is it fair that the criminal gets to have the upper hand on you? It doesn't make any sense to me. In Canada, you are legally not allowed to defend yourself with a gun, but it is murky. People have done it in the past and, had the law side with them when their life was in danger. So it's very confusing, but you don't just have this right, I think, maybe in Canada, to defend yourself with a gun. They don't want you to defend yourself all around the world. They want you to become victims and then ask more from the government. So we've cloned a few cats today. Kamala Harris has gone nuts. And, Wayne Brady, I think what we've learned today mostly is that Wayne Brady is one of the best virtue signalers around. And if you don't want to sleep with them, then you very well may be a bigot. Let's see. Anne says, you're correct. Residents of territory can vote in primaries, but not presidential elections. So I was pretty close. All I know, I don't know that much about Puerto Rico. I know there's a good Mel Gibson movie shot there about the hurricane. Maybe it wasn't even shot there, but it takes place in Puerto Rico. And in addition to that, I know Jake Paul and Logan Paul run their business out of there because I don't think there's any state tax. That can be the next thing. I shouldn't even read it. It wasn't a super chat. We appreciate you guys. Once again, hit the Patreon link in the description, patreon.com/uopod. And if you're listening on Apple, we love you. If you're listening on Spotify, we love you. And even if you're listening on Google Podcasts or iHeartRadio, we definitely love you. We will see you next time. Videos all throughout the week on the channel, and then the bonus podcast, you'll get a couple clips, but the bonus footage is all on Patreon, so make sure you check back with the channel. We've been covering a lot more video game stuff lately, a lot of movie stuff lately. People like the video game talk. People like that we're talking about the DEI in video games that's getting out of control. So if you like the content, go ahead and subscribe on either the Andrew Says YouTube or the Unauthorized Opinion YouTube. If you're listening, please leave us a review. We will appreciate that very much. And again, we will get to you next time, because if we're not going to say this stuff, then I don't think anybody else is, because we've gotten to this point where we're still battling what you can and cannot say. We've got to be able to make fun of Kamala Harris. We've got to be able to talk about how, these actors and these diversity driven people are trying to still shove this stuff down our throats. Wayne Brady shouldn't think that people want to hear about this. Now, granted, people are going to ask him about it, but we shouldn't be living in this society where people think that, pretending that there's other genders or pretending that they're pansexual is something that is valuable and something that is valued by consumers and just a way to get the press to talk about it. Can't we go back to the old ways where maybe you get drunk in public or you get pulled over by police and you scream something racially charged at them. Can't we go back to the good old days, the Mel Gibson days, everybody? We'll see you next week.